What if the most violent weapon in a war room is a ledger? These 10 photos don't just show starving faces. They expose stamps, numbers, and forms that turned hunger into procedure. One image holds a renumbered body tag. Another, a neat row of ration chits. None of this is random. Watch, and you'll see how control is built on signatures, how false causes of death hide intent, and how supply lines are cut with a pen. The pattern repeats across decades and borders. The question isn't if it happened, it's who planned it and how. Number 1. The Holodomor, Ukraine, 1932 to 1933. This image captures a village granary door sealed with a tidy stamp. The ledger beside it reads, "Quota fulfilled," while kitchen shelves hold nothing but dust. Officials noted deliveries, penalties, and neat totals. But those entries masked house raids, confiscations from ovens and bins, and blacklists that barred families from markets and mills. Procurement quotas set targets no field could meet. Internal passports and travel bans trapped the hungry near emptied barns, and blackboard sanctions punished whole villages at once. Photos show sealed barns, posted decrees, and faces shrinking under those notices. Requisition orders granted agents authority to seize. Fines for theft of socialist property turned a crust saved at home into a crime, clearing even seed and animal feed under legal cover. Those clean columns mapped a famine. The paperwork starved people before weather did. Now keep that ledger open as ration cards start to measure breath. Number 2. The Siege of Leningrad, 1941 to 1944. This image captures a small ration card, perforated and thin. Each stamp stands for a day lived, one square traded for a scrap of bread. The city is surrounded. The stamp stays the same, but the calories sink. Decrees cut the daily bread again and again, and the queues grow longer. Inspectors check books at doors and counters, as if survival were a paperwork drill. Workers first, then other laborers, then dependents. Children and the elderly stand at the end of that line. The loaves themselves change too. Bulk stretched with cellulose, sawdust, paste. The taste turns flat, the belly stays loud. Across Lake Ladoga, the road of life crawls over ice. Trucks slip, shelling breaks the link, and the loads never match need. Control rides on the stamp. Life shrinks with each cut as the square of paper loses weight. Number 3. The Bengal famine, 1943. This image captures a shipping manifest stamped neat and final. Grain moves out on paper, while village markets fall quiet and stalls sit bare. The line from the desk points to failed harvests and war. But records show exports kept moving. Price controls held firm, and famine status was delayed or denied. On the ground, that mix raised prices and thinned stock. Denial policies removed boats and stores near coasts. Transport went to war, so inland routes stalled. Price caps froze legal trade and drove grain to hidden rooms. Photos show relief queues curling past notices and requisition letters that look routine. Research notes an administrative balance that hid suffering. Debates circle cyclone damage versus policy choice, while telegram trails speak of halted imports and targets kept elsewhere. On paper, the system balanced. On the ground, scarcity was administered. Now the wall and the stamp take over. Number 4. The Warsaw Ghetto Starvation, 1940 to 1943. This image captures a posted notice that reads like a misprint. The ration list assigns numbers that don't reach a meal, much less a day. The wall encloses streets, but the math does the killing. Official tables set Jewish rations far below survival, while other groups receive more. The gap is policy, not chance, and the paper shows intent. Food moves through permits, passes, and checks. Police stop handcarts, open sacks, and seize goods. Inspectors search bundles, kitchens, and pockets. Photos show tables of confiscated food and lines under watch. Work permits link labor to bytes. The stamp on a card dictates a smaller share, a different queue, the same hunger. Smuggling faces raids and arrests, so the alleyways thin out too. Number 5. The Dutch Hunger Winter, 1944 to 1945. This image captures a ration booklet open on a plain table. The rail lines fall silent, and the stamp becomes the loudest sound in the room. Retaliation cuts transport. Municipal ration points list names and weights with care, then hand out nothing. The counters stay tidy while shelves empty, because the trains don't come. Embargoes halt freight, and frozen canals trap barges in place. Records show rations cut again, then again, with heavy laborers marked for 400 to 800 calories a day. Photos show ration chits stacked next to ersatz foods, tulip bulbs, sugar beets, even sawdust patted into loaves. Those numbers echo forward. Studies later trace adults' higher risks, heart strain, obesity, schizophrenia, to being conceived in that winter. The body kept the ledger. Number 6. The Biafran Famine, Nigeria, 1967 to 1970. This image captures a relief plane circling a dark strip. On paper, a coastal blockade holds steady, signed and sealed in neat orders. Cables and naval instructions draw a ring. Night flights try to slip through with food and medicine. But manifests decide what lands and who counts as fed. Blockade notices spell out what's barred. Cargo inspections check crates against lists. Relief talks stall while feeding centers swell, and photos show children with swollen bellies. Kwashiorkor as the ledger's result. Tonnage needed far exceeds what's allowed. Paperwork delays flights on the ground, and checkpoints add hours to each run, so daily intake falls behind survival. Every pallet depends on a stamp. Control of the manifest means control of the meal, and the camera turns that paper into proof. Number 7. The Siege of Sarajevo, 1992 to 1996. This image captures a loaf held low as it crosses an exposed street, as if it needs a passport stamped at each curb. The siege narrows food to paperwork and risk. Humanitarian convoys line up behind forms and clearances, then stall under shelling that turns markets into targets. Aid waits, hunger does not. Clearance procedures sort routes, escorts, and loads. One missing authorization, and trucks idle at checkpoints. Local councils keep ration ledgers, names, households, portions, an orderly grid set against thin stores. Photos show the tunnel run under the city and pallets stacked in dim depots. UN figures count convoys, but the totals trail need, and the gap feeds a black market that posts prices like a daily weather chart. A stamp decides if a vehicle rolls or stays put. Number 8. The Cambodian Killing Fields Famine, 1975 to 1979. This image captures a chalkboard dense with rice targets. The digits rise like a dare no field can meet. Collective work units must deliver the count. The quota pulls grain outward, while daily rations shrink to thin ladles and cracked bowls. Forced collectivization folds farms into communes. Granary seizures follow harvest, and internal security files flag underproduction for punishment. Photos show communal tables at mealtime, bare wood, no steam. Production reports boast yields that reports cannot prove. Ration tickets lag in issue and weight, so people trade tools for scraps. Forced relocations move labor far from old plots and stored rice, cutting access twice. Targets on the board mean emptiness in the bowl. Numbers travel. Food does not. The famine sits in the math. Number 9. The Ethiopian Famine, 1983 to 1985. This image captures a feeding center ledger with names in rows and a convoy log with delays inked in the margin. Drought meets conflict on the road. Routes need clearances. Relocations move people toward camps, but the food lags behind the buses, so queues lengthen by the day. Relief corridors are bargained like border crossings. Checkpoints count sacks and stamp passes, while trucks idle under a sun that burns time. Camp gates register families for rations, yet the lists grow faster than the stores. Photos show long lines at feeding tents and truck convoys halted by a raised hand. Tonnage unloaded trails clear need, and internal memos place troop supply ahead of grain. Fuel, escorts, and permits set the pace. Maps decide which valleys are seen and which wait without a visit. Number 10. The North Korean Famine, 1990s. This image captures a ration board in a neighborhood office. The columns shrink month by month, each line a smaller promise. The public distribution system claims reach, but harvest shortfalls and priority lists decide who receives grain. Military units and key factories stand first, while others wait for leftovers. Tiers shape the table. Coupons mean food only if warehouses hold stock. When they don't, informal markets rise. Jangmadang stalls trading rice, noodles, and hope against debt. Satellite-tracked fields show recurring shortfalls. Policy orders cut stated rations, and testimonies describe food tied to work unit status, not family need. Rare photos of ration coupons surface, thin slips that once implied weight. The coupon loses value. People turn to risk, loans, and shadow stalls. Survival becomes a side trade, not a right.